What's up, friends? It's Kev Rogers from Paid to Create, and I am thrilled today to be chatting with my friend Ron Lynch. Ron Lynch of Stage 22, also Big Baby Media, has been a part of many innovative, groundbreaking, record breaking campaigns, mostly video, high production stuff, all the GoPro stuff you did. People can look you up to learn more. It's not hard to find out your accomplishments, Ron. And the reason I wanted to talk to you today is because you wrote this. First of all, welcome to Substack. I'm new there myself, and man, it's a thriving culture. I love the vibe I'm finding there, and it's discussions like these that I feel like really fit in that world. And so you wrote a piece back on February 21st called with the title "The Sky Is Not Falling, the Plateau is Rising."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wanted to get more insight from you on this idea of where we are with AI. And so if it's okay with you, I'll read the beginning of the piece and then I want to.
Sure.
All right. So
thanks for having me, by the way. I appreciate this.
Oh, yeah. It's great. It's great to be with you always, man. If you are terrified you are going to be swallowed economically by AI, I need you to think again. You exist in the real world, not Tron. You have intrinsic value as a human for your ability to do the irrational. Let's be fair. You are amazingly irrational. It's your gift, otherwise known as free will. It's the bots that lack it. They are programmed. Remember, this AI machine has no eyes, no ears, no sense of balance, thus no thrills. Being human is a thrilling experience. You are in charge. Every time technology changes, somebody declares the end of humanity. The printing press was going to ruin memory. The steam engine was going to eliminate workers. The tractor was going to destroy farming families. The internet was going to make everybody unemployed. Now it's AI. Bullshit. And once again, the headlines say the jobs are leaving. They are not leaving. They are molting. We are watching the old skin peel off the snake. We confuse tasks with value. Tasks disappear. Value never does. Yep. Awesome. And so I'm stopping there I want to focus on that. Tasks disappear. Value never does. Can we define value?
So value is adding to someone else's life in an efficient way. It takes time to do something. I don't want to do that thing and take that time. You provide me with that solution, saving me that time, giving me that solution. Therefore, I find value in it.
Yeah.
You could look at something as simple as Miracle-Gro potting soil.
Mm-hmm.
How long would it take for you to cultivate potting soil that would function in your yard? Right? You have to find a vegetarian animal because you don't want to use dog poop. You have to, so you like a vegetarian animal plus soil plus wood, biodegradable material, and would take months and months and years to develop soil. Or you can go buy a bag of this stuff for $7.99. That's a very simple value construct. Lots of resources, lots of time compressed into a bag of potting soil. Yeah. So what changes in this world? It's the same principle. I mean, you look at McDonald's today and you go, hey, the value proposition of McDonald's has changed. What have they eliminated? In many of them, they've eliminated the interaction between you and the counter person. But there still is a counter person. They're just handing you the meal. The order process is done through a machine. So they've saved a little bit of time and created more value. But McDonald's didn't go out of business and robots aren't making the burgers.
They are frying fries in some chains.
I mean, those things will eventually. There are these, but this is a task. Oh, there's a fry cook. That French fry person goes away. But we can look at that in the rest of the world. But where has human value always come from is compressing upwards into a higher value chain.
Yeah.
So if you look at an existing corporation, any corporation for the last 30 years, you get an entry-level position where you learn a task. Then perhaps you get transferred to a couple of departments and you learn 5 or 6 tasks and you learn human interaction. Guess what? Now you're a manager because you understand 5 or 6 tasks and you understand how to interact with people. No good at interacting with people, you get demoted back down to task. Good at interacting with people and learn the financial mechanics, you move up the chain. And that's what we're talking about, I think, is how do we find 2 or 3 things that each one of us are good at? Probably 3 things, a 3-legged stool, and tie those 3 things together, utilizing AI as the printing press.
Yeah, that's already a better definition than I keep hearing in, radio interviews. And when this topic comes up, they say, well, what are knowledge workers going to do? How are they going to survive? And the answer always is they're going to have to get creative and find ways to deliver new value in their chosen industry.
Well, think about yourself as a person who has experience as being a comedian. What is it that gives a joke its value? The thing that wouldn't happen, the irrational. I take 2 things that are not connected, and I connect them in the listener's mind, and they get oxytocin's released and they laugh. So it's the same thing is what are some things in the world that are currently not connected, and I live at the intersection of those things. Therefore, I command that intersection. Yeah. Well, that goes all the way back from field hand to field boss, from factory worker to manager. Now you just have to raise your lens and go, oh, one, I have to be interested. You have this huge opportunity, by the way, to be interested, to think of the irrational and live at that intersection.
Right. Yeah. Like people, what I kept thinking as I'm reading your piece is like, you look back to our history and there wasn't dead people on the side of the road all of a sudden when these big changes in industry came along. Like we made it. I think what scares people, Ron, is it feels like it's happening so fast right now. Is that just because we're living it?
Yeah, I think it is happening fast because technology compresses time. And I think that there's some risks that we have to be aware of, and we have to acknowledge that, yes, in fact, that's not just an apparent feeling. It is happening rapidly. But if your house burns down, does it give you a 3-week warning? It happens rapidly. Yeah. And do you die? No, you leave the house and you rebuild and you do something different. This is happening fast, so deal with it. That's the reality part. The actual danger I see is people doing nothing. Yeah. Is this crazy idea of we're all going to have universal basic income. Well, I like Musk. I've done some flirtatious work with his companies in the past, and I would say this is not a good idea. UBI is the assumption that the things will become so efficient that somebody up the food chain, in order to keep the masses happy, will shove resources down the food chain just for peace. Well, we've seen that happen before historically. And how many resources do they really push down? Just enough for sustenance. Right. There's no joy living at that level of indenturedness. Now, we have another endemic problem in our society is because communication is so fast, we split our culture. You can get it online and you can see people hating people that have never met each other over issues that they'll never actually interact over that don't even matter. It's like the issue loft is here and the war is down here. So what happens in a world where, let's say, 40% of the world's on UBI? Those people will recognize, let's give it a number, say it's $40,000 a year. 50% of that group will suddenly realize if the other 50% of the group weren't in existence, those lazy fools, my number would double. And so you create cannibalism at the bottom and lethargy and hopelessness and uselessness. People want to be useful. They want to be rewarded for it. They want to be creative. Yep. And there are always some that don't. But I think that there's a real 80-20 rule to that. So I think it's going to be just fine. It's just we have to raise our sights to go, I just need to raise my capability and frankly, my love, because passion and service come out of love. Agreed.
And I think people fear also like, well, how will I have access? Let's just say, okay, you have to get creative, going back to that trope, right? You better get creative and you better find a new way to deliver value and go like it. but then who am I? And because there's this whole other thing of celebrity culture that everybody's living every day, whether it's somebody in your tiny niche that means a lot to you, who has a few thousand followers, but you think is significant, or if they're a megastar, whether they're an influencer, an actual celebrity, or whatever. I think people think, well, I can't compete with that. I'm not that interesting.
Okay. So my answer to interesting is there's no such thing as interesting. There's interested.
Mm-hmm.
So I direct actors all the time, and I tell them, do not attempt to be interesting on screen. Be interested. I can film two kids in a sandbox, and they are interesting until they know the camera's there.
Yeah.
And then they're no longer interesting. So I say, if you get interested, and that's why I say the love and passion comes in, find some stuff that you really enjoy. And we've never had a time in history where you could do that. And I used to tell people, don't focus on your passion, focus on what you're good at, because you might not be good at your passion. We know lots of people that are passionate about singing that can't hold a tune.
Right.
So find something that you have a competency in that affects an end user that you really want to positively affect, and provide some innovation. So there's four things that make any business, any individual worth value in a culture. That is, you must be doing something innovative. So in this context, you're doing three things tied together that have a value to somebody. So there's got to be some, well, not everybody does that. That's a specialization. Then that must have an audience. There must be someone who needs that. Then you must find a way to price it so there's some margin in it. And a lot of this is just thinking now. So we're really talking a lot about IP, about what can you do intellectually and creatively in the world. And then story. Can you tell me a story about you needing it, not about me selling it? Tell the person about how they're going to appreciate it, and take the time. Now, I have a variety of, I'll say, levels of business. Somebody asked me the other day what that meant, and to me it was really clear. It's like, I do media work, so I have instances of people I've worked with, or even my own media, that produces $1 from a mass audience. I have a lot of people that pay me $1 without even knowing they've paid me $1, whether they're viewing my content or. I have dollar customers. I have a lot of dollar customers. But then I have $5,000 customers that might take a program from me. Then I have, and that's a smaller number, but then I have a smaller number of $50,000 customers. And then I have a couple every year or two of $500,000 to $1 million customer. Well, I'm highly specialized. So that, I mean, it's a certain kind of surgery that goes with that, but everybody can build that kind of economic stack for themselves.
Yeah.
And what's odd is all of those things are me doing the same thing. It's the integration of marketing and television that either I'm teaching the philosophies of that or politics, or I'm creating pieces that do that, or I'm hired by someone to do that, or I'm hired by somebody to direct something. And then in my free time, I make movies and books that I like, that are my kind of side gigs. But all of those produce revenue kind of from the same expertise in a different way to a different customer.
Yeah, that's so important. You know, when I'm coaching writers and creatives, I say, there's this split of your time and energy, right? Ideally, you're spending, let's just talk about a freelance copywriter. Ideally, you're spending 50% of your time earning 100% of your income. You're spending 25% of your time and energy on developing new strengths and skills. And then the one they always put last and overlook, 25% what I call motivation for playing and doing things with your skills in your craft that you have no idea if there'll be an outcome for them or not, but they bring you joy. And so much of what's possible and the inspiration of that motivation set influences how you succeed in your actual business.
Yeah, and how much you construct into your life. I mean, I'll give you a very simple example. I've made a couple movies, like a couple documentaries in the last few years. And in some of those documentaries, my wife and I flew to really cool places because the IRS doesn't care whether your movie fails or succeeds, and they don't care where you shoot it. It's about the expenses. And my wife can hold a camera, and I can stand in front of the Tower of London, or I can stand in front of the Roman Colosseum. I can go around the world and shoot things that are useful in the movie, and then in the off hours have a great vacation.
Right.
And then hopefully that movie sells, and in this particular case it did, and we get the money comes back, and it's a good business expense. But no one's calling me saying, "Hey, Ron, would you like to go to Ireland and Italy and London?" Like, you have to have the cojones to take the reins of your own life.
Yeah.
I think that's actually at the core of this is most people are waiting instead of reigning. And you can't. You got to grab the reins.
Yeah. That's good. So do you see industries that AI will create that don't now exist?
Wow. That's such a good question. I'm not sure I'm even qualified. I think I'll be making up answers, but I'm happy to make up answers. But I want to qualify that. I think it's the intersection of raising people's competencies faster. You mentioned copywriters, and being that this is something I teach in one of my programs, is I have a kind of a system that I go, okay, you're a copywriter. Do you know what the next tier of income is? And they go, more copywriting. I'm like, no. It's actual production, because production is a whole nother paycheck. And then production, if done right, has a royalty component to your production. So if you're a copywriter, you're already making a movie in your head. You might as well add the other column and write the visuals down, and then learn how to shoot those visuals. So I can take somebody from that skill set to the next. Now, where AI helps in that is there are tools that do these things now, where even in the marketing, I can go, what are 3 audiences I might be missing who might want this product that I can talk to in these creatives? Because most products have 20 benefits, and you can only focus on about 3 per creative. You go, what if I took existing products and I widened them out? Then I add a layer of filmmaking to that and storytelling, and then I'm getting media dollars, royalty dollars, production dollars, and writing dollars. That's taking one human being who thought they had one skill set and going, no, you actually are doing the other ones in your head. You're not taking the time to write them down because you've never done it and you have fear of it. Go ahead, write the visual column, then price out the visual column. You can see it. Why couldn't you direct it, assemble it, and now you've got a whole nother product?
Or go find your who, as Dean Jackson would remind us. It's not a how, it's a who. I always love when I listen to interviews with Quentin Tarantino. He always says, I don't know how to do any of the things that make my movies appear on the screen. I just see that and ask people to make it happen. And you think, well, there's this kid who must have been constantly filming stuff when he was working at the video store and trying to bring his vision. No, he's a concept guy, and he's great with dialogue, and he has all these other talents, but he just goes and finds good people who that's what they obsess on, and he lets them do it.
Yeah, and he can mishmash them together. I'll tell you, I've shot on a lot of big sets of my own in my life, and I have never treated my crew or walked away from it without saying, thank you guys, you made me look much better than I am. Because I don't have the gifts and the talents that these sound and lighting and camera people have. I don't have the time to work on that craft. Now, I'll give you an example that's real. In my Facebook timeline, I don't know whether you've seen this or not, but I have a stack of 20 screenplays I've never made. Like, I'm a writer, so I have extra screenplays, and the screenplays are expensive to produce. So I've taken some of those and gone into Sora and built sizzle reels, like the reel, like the preview to a movie.
Oh, cool.
Of those. And they get a lot of traction. People, I'm like, well, that might be the future of filmmaking. You may be able to create your own cinema if you can write it. You may be able to prompt your way through cinema and have your own distribution network like a Quentin Tarantino. Yeah. You don't have to have the budget and you don't have to have the connections. it eliminates, if it's going to eliminate those jobs, it's actually going to elevate. You could be a
Yeah.
filmmaker with a base of 1 million people because it's a great big planet.
Yeah.
If you're willing to have 8 billion people not know who you are and only 1 million know who you are, you can still make a pretty great living off of a fan base.
That's a hell of a compromise. I don't know.
Right?
And I've heard Vaynerchuk say the future of podcasting in media like that is that you will create a show with a tool like Sora. So it would be the same with film. You're designing the actors, and then you of course own that, and so you have NAL on those avatars that you created, and that will be a whole industry.
Yeah, so this is the way I can conceive of that, in specifically for film. Is, let's say I have, I go about my day, and I do this in life. I see people. I see what I'll say. God's extras are out there, and I'll go, man, that person has a great look for, like, the world's full of character actors. Yeah. Now, what if I could approach one of them and say, hey, I'd like to make a film with you, and they're like, well, I can't act, and I'm like, I don't believe you can either, but you don't need to. I'd like to license your face and your voice for a film. Believe me, you'll be able to act in this film because I'm doing it with AI. You do that with 10 actors. And so maybe you sign them up for $200 a piece because they're waiters and people at the gym and whatever.
Just found money for them. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it works. And now they get to come back and go, oh, there's a sequel? I'd like 50 grand. And you're like, you know what? The first one made me $1.5 million. I'm happy. Now you're making movie stars out of people's just the visage. And they're like, we're not that far away from that. I know that sounds like science fiction.
Right.
But we're now close enough to the event horizon of that science fiction that could be very real.
Yeah.
That even our movie stars won't really be good actors, but we won't even know it.
Yeah. So true. I mean, you look at video game culture. I'm not a big gamer, but whenever I see, the characters in video games in those scenes in between the action, right? You go, well, man, that guy's cool. Like, who is that? And it's completely made up. It's animated.
Go back and look at the last John Wick movies, and you'll realize that 80% of the movie is animated.
Wow.
There's no way Keanu Reeves could physically do the things that are happening in the movie. That you have a human being that's completely animated, and how much of these, I'll say, big budget action movies now are 90% green screen, where none of it happened.
Yeah.
They're really animated features. And what is happening is the cost of that is now getting compressed by technology. So what do we care about is the storytelling.
Right.
Well, get good at storytelling.
Yeah. I love that it always comes back to storytelling. I heard a quote from Kevin O'Sullivan. Am I getting that right? Kevin O'Leary. And who, by the way, did you see the movie he was in? The new movie, Wally. What was it? Anyway, he was in a feature film with.
I think I saw an ad that he was in a feature film, and it caught my eye that he was in a movie, but I haven't seen it.
It was great, and you'll love what he said. They said, "Why would you do this at this point in your career? It was so risky. You could have been horrible." He said, "I can't buy this experience to actually be on set in a major film."
Yep.
So, anyways, it's super cool.
It's an interesting take on it, though, that someone would consider that risky, isn't it?
It is actually, yeah.
I would not consider that a risk at all.
I wouldn't either. In the hands of a skilled director and that whole crew, it's like they're gonna do 10 takes. They're gonna get the one.
People need to revisit George Plimpton.
Yeah.
The guy from the 70s who did all of these crazy things that he was completely unqualified to do. It was like, you know what? You're not unqualified. You're disqualifying yourself.
Yeah. And the world doesn't really care if you fail. In fact, they'll be proud of you for trying. That's the thing I always want to impart to people. I go, first of all these people you think are watching your every move are busy with their own shit. Nobody's watching what you're doing. Just go try stuff.
Yeah. It's funny. That translates to me to so many things but in acting, in how I direct people, how scripts come across, how I ask people to read things on screen is like, I hope this connects for you, but the word you, we use the word you pejoratively. And when an actor or a speaker or someone goes online, they tend to use it in English. We have a tonality to that word and we go, thank you all for watching. Well, you all is not sitting together in one room. It's a whole bunch of individuals in their underwear in separate locations. So change that word and the tonality to the singular every single time you use it and go, I want to thank you for watching, because right now you're probably thinking nobody can help you. You see how just the personality of the tonality of that word now, oh my God, it's one person talking to one person, because that's actually how media is imbibed. And like, we have this common friend, Jesse Elder, who is very good on social media, but you'll notice that is one of his caveats, is he always is speaking to a singular person at the other end, not the pejorative room.
Right, always,
And I think that's a really simple freebie anybody could apply to their copy or their tonality or whatever, is let the other person be seen.
Yeah.
I mean, you're an absolute genius at that. I mean, I've been to your events. You're the most non-dominant host. You're like a guest at your own event, just introducing the other folk. I mean, you really come across that way. So you pump up the value, not only of the people that are talking, but of the participants at the event.
Thank you. Yeah. It's just,
that's a gift.
I couldn't do it the other way. It's just, it's kind of luck, really, that because people would say to me, how did you create this community? It's just such a good vibe. I go, it just works. I go, if I had to be Russell Brunson, I would have found another line of work. It's just nothing against him. It's just not, I can't do that. You know what I mean?
But don't you feel like you brought some of that forward from performing and from comedy?
Yeah.
That 100%. you knew how to captivate a stage in a room, not by treating them like a sea of fish, but by individuation.
Well, one thing I always say about comedy that was so interesting was all these strangers would come into a room and, like a nucleus, form a personality. And then you're going to have a 20 or 40-minute conversation with that person, and you're either going to vibe or you're not. And sometimes there's middle ground, and sometimes it's like instant best friends, and sometimes it's like, I cannot wait to get away from this person. And that's how the set's going to go based on that. You know, it's.
But when you tap in and it works, I always say that comedians it's like we all come into the room in our biplane and we hand the comedian the stick, and we all have enough collective social data that a good comedian grabs that stick and can fly our brains around for us in ways we wouldn't have flown them around. And it's very titillating and enjoying and visceral and very truthful, because at the core of most comedy is truths nobody will say.
Right.
And you're going, it's anxiety relieving. Oh God, I wish finally someone said it.
Right.
And oh my God, that's true. I never noticed it. And all of those things. And I think that you obviously have that gift, but that gift comes out of a great deal of empathy. It's a great deal of intellect, but it's that intellect tied to empathy, tied to being socially tapped in, that you have to care about what's going on in the world and the other people to even get there.
Yeah, I for me, I do. I'm thinking of comics, as you say that, who don't have much empathy. In fact, they're pretty mean to the audience, and in life, they're very unforgiving. And maybe sometimes I hypothesize that they're so full of empathy that it hurts them to see people being stupid and failing. But it works because they sell it and they own it, and the audience likes being challenged. And it's almost like at first they're a little off put. It's like the crazy guy coming into the party, and everybody's like, oh God, here goes the vibe. And then next thing you know, you're like, give him another beer, let's see what he does. You know, it's kind of that whole. So, and this is another part of what we're talking about. You have to
I think this ties very closely to what we're talking about.
Understand who you are and work with that and amplify that.
But and again, it's this nature of, like you say, the great ones. This is a conversation of how to become a great one, to survive. To become a great one, read the room, see the conversation, see what the needs are, see how you fit the room, see what the skill sets. Oh, I got to have storytelling. Who knows? You might have to have accounting. I don't know. It could be creative. I need to understand filmmaking, or I need to understand like what are go to Maslow's hierarchy and kind of start there. What do people need? Oh, they need food. Oh, they need construction. Oh, they need like go. Those are fields. There will always
Yeah.
be a food job, a construction job, and by
Yep.
construction I mean architecture, design, like
Yeah.
clothing. There will always be a Maslow's hierarchy core person running that division supported by AI. So pick the thing that you love, whether it's medicine or food or
Yeah.
parenting.
I mean, that's exactly where your article picks up. Your piece picks. You said task disappear, value never does. The elevator operator disappeared. The switchboard operator disappeared. The human computer with a pencil and ledger disappeared, but the human being did not disappear. What changed was the kind of value we brought to the table.
Yeah. And so if you the fact is anybody like Bruce Springsteen's Glory Days, anybody who sits and looks backwards in their life is a miserable pain in the ass to be around.
Yeah.
That gets old. I don't want to hear about your last marriage, your last relationship, the last nobody wants
painful.
that. It's painful because you're stuck. You have the only way to get unstuck is to look forward and go, I need to find an apple that I want to bite.
Yeah.
And go bite it. Go grab it. That's your mission. You can't outsource hope. You have to have hope for yourself. You can't outsource your vision. You can sniff around and get it someplace, but you need, and it's so very fundamental. We have to take responsibility for ourselves.
Yeah. I think that's so good. You know what I love about this, Ron, and this is when I know I've just done a good interview. Most of the questions I had, we've already covered.
Oh, good.
In bits and pieces, because we went to the bigger point right away. But I do, for people watching, what do we want them to take from this? That they need to reinvent some value. They need to connect a few things, 3 to 5 things that they might not have seen going together. They need to look, as you mentioned with the way you coach, what are some other audiences who may need this or something very similar that I could tweak it and make it perfect for them? What can we do to make them feel like, all right, we're okay. Let me get away from the noise for a minute and look inward and look at my immediate surroundings and say, how do I gather all this up and make it shiny and valuable for people?
Well, there's still candles in the world. We didn't invent electricity and candles went away. Right? And then when we invented electricity, the bulbs were shitty and electricity into our house was very low voltage. And this is an extension of that process. We started with candles and now we have AI. The voltage has just increased. The power has increased. That doesn't mean the power was taken away from you. It means the power exists at a higher level for you to tap into. So you can't be afraid of the electricity. You have to look at it and go, what could I build now that I have more power? Again, this AI has no eyeballs. It has no skin. It can't feel it. It can't hear it. I argue with AI. I've written a whole bunch of books. I've dumped them into my AI. I argue with ChatGPT like a vicious lawyer because it's wrong all the time. And I find in the modeling, I up its thinking until it starts to emulate something I respect. And then go, okay, now we're having the conversation. Now give that back to me like Will Rogers would say it. And then now it's producing something and I go, okay, now we're getting somewhere. But it wasn't because I accepted what the tool first delivered. It's because I rejected what the tool first delivered. And I decided I was its master. It's not mine.
Right.
So it's a mindset.
So does the model itself get better across all chats for you in that moment or just in that instance?
No, I have a paid service, so I ask it to compress that. And I'll have chats on different types of topics, but I will see, like I might do an outline for a movie and the movie might include eschatology and politics, and it will pull from the other things and go, oh, in this chat, I know that you feel this way about that.
Right,
And
right,
it'll
right,
pull
right.
some things in. So it is responsive to you training it.
Sure. Yeah.
But as an account, you're training an account.
Right. I've got that, but it was still, everybody's dealt with the surface level frustration of, please don't do this. And it's like, you're right. That's so hack. I'm constantly trying to get it to not do. It's not this, it's that thing that it's just obsessed with it. I cannot get it to stop that one framing. And so I was fascinated when you said it actually, you can beat it into submission and go, okay, now we're talking.
You kind of can. I mean, this is kind of an obscure one, but in the last 6 weeks, I've kind of predicted the outbreak of this war and some things that lined up around it. And the machine was telling me that I was living in a fantasy world. And I said, no, you have not lived through enough of these cycles. In my 60 years, I have seen Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter, George Bush, Bill, like I have seen these leaders say these things and the people around them and the news media. I'm getting a vibration here.
Yeah.
And then there's these other facets of that story. And
yeah.
So this thing happens and I come back and I go, so now what do you think? I said, you're going to tell me I was right in that one instance. And I said, yeah, you were right in that one instance. And I went to, hey, we're going to move on to this next chapter, but you're now going to have to respect what all of the vibrational things that you can't read that I brought to the last one. So I have seen submission in it in this next round of what's next. Mm-hmm. And that is very interesting to me. To me, it is one, it's a little breakthrough, but I also see and understand that the machine is developing and aggregating because there's so many more people interacting with it.
Yeah.
That it is getting smarter.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. It's incredible.
But it's not coming up with better ideas. It's still pulling out of the human dump pile of all of the stuff that's put into it, much of which is false. You are still reliant for the better idea.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think people need to remember. And I wonder if our generation, Ron, sees it a little differently or has different perspective on it. Because think about it. I'm born in 70, so you're born in 60.
66.
66. Sorry, 5 years. Yeah. We're the only generation who's born in the analog and is now living with AI, right? Mm-hmm. So we've seen it all, and we've seen these incremental changes, and we've had the experience of like everything you said in your great piece. It's okay. It's like it's supposed to happen. It's going to keep happening, and things when we're dead we can't even imagine will be the next thing. Is it scarier for? I don't know.
Well, I think you're pulling something else into it, which I'll comment on, and I think it's very true. You have to acknowledge that Gen X was a pretty feral generation. We grew up with either one parent or two parents working for the first time.
Yeah.
And it was pre-digital. It was an analog world. So the productivity of the world hadn't raised its self yet. So there are generations after us that had one parent or had two parents working, but they had a lot of digital connection, entertainment, and their tactile world. Like when you and I were kids, a family either had a black and white television or a color television, and there was almost an economic distinction between televisions. You wouldn't even consider that. Now it's like every house has every room's got a TV. Every house has 5 televisions, and every family has 3 cars. These kids were raised in a different materialism to begin with than we were, and they've never been actually psychologically self-sufficient. Gen X was psychologically self-sufficient. You entertain yourself, you survive or die. We didn't have helmets, which is why we were all right. Like there was no safety. We were our own safety. And then
seatbelts were later in life we got into that habit. Yeah.
Right. Baby car carrier. Oh, they make those? But the world has developed into such a bubble wrapped and containerized, and psychologically as well. Nobody respected what I thought or said or what my identity was when I was 11. There's no
Right.
discussion of any of like, come on.
Yeah.
So we are calloused, but possibly in a very good way. Probably much
Yeah.
like the greatest generation. I think we're
Right.
probably more like the greatest generation than we are our parents who were boomers.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a coddling that came after World War II, and the boomers really are named the me generation for a reason. They were very comforted,
Yeah.
and because they did have a one working parent household and enough economy to live in a house that was owned, and like it was our parents didn't have that. That was taken
Right.
away by the time we were kids, and now it's really been taken away, but replaced with a form of materialism. So
Right.
we are dinosaurs living in a new age for sure. But I do think we provide comfort to those younger people because they go, "Is this survivable?" And we're like, "Everything's survivable, bro."
Yeah. Yeah. We used to jump each other on our bikes, and we're still here. So you're gonna be fine.
Yeah. Oh, I crushed Jimmy's head. Oh, he'll be fine.
He was all right. He lived.
Yeah. He couldn't spell
uh,
anyways.
Ron, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for giving me your
Thank you.
time, for giving
I
us your
appreciate the
time.
time.
And if people can reach you, best place, you're
You
DMable.
can go over to Substack and follow me at Ari Lynch, or you can go to Stage 22 Productions online if you like, or you can go to ronnielynch.com. I have a few venues that whichever one you can remember, go to that.
Yeah, go find the man and be in his world, however you're comfortable being, and I would say can afford being, because he's going to make it better. Appreciate you, Ron, and we'll talk
Appreciate you,
soon.
Kevin. Thank you. Yep. Bye bye.